Now 2 weeks ago I uploaded a video about triads, which was part 1 of the series that I'm making about chord theory. Now in that video you could have seen that everything starts with the intervals and triads. And today I'm going to elaborate on that and move on to the next level that describes the structure and some of the applications of 7th chords. Now to follow this video it's best that you know something about the 3rd and the 5th interval and the 4 types of triads, namely major, minor, augmented and diminished. Now chords are built by stacking 3rd intervals. And the most basic form is a triad that is a stack of 2 3rd intervals. And it can be a minor or a major 3rd or a combination of the two. In part 1 we have seen that combining these intervals resulted in a major triad that is built from a major and a minor 3rd that resulted in a root, a major 3rd and a perfect 5th. A minor triad that is built from a minor and a major 3rd and that resulted in a root, a minor 3rd and a perfect 5th. An augmented triad that is built from 2 major 3rds and that resulted in a root, a major 3rd and an augmented 5th. The diminished triad that is built with 2 minor 3rds and that resulted in a root, a minor 3rd and a diminished 5th. Now by adding more notes to the triad by stacking 3rds, we can distinguish 3 groups of chords that extend the triad. And those are the 7th chords, the added tone chords and the extended chords that are built upon the 7th chords, by the way. Now in this tutorial we concentrate on the 7th chords that are the result of stacking 3 3rd intervals. Now on each of the 4 triad types, major, minor, augmented and diminished, we can stack another 3rd interval. And that can be a major or a minor 3rd that leads to the 7th degree. Now we can stack 2 triads within the C major scale on the tonic, which is the note C. Now the result is a major triad built from a major and a minor 3rd, resulting in the notes C, E and G. Now if we stack another 3rd on top of the triad, then we have added the 7th degree, the note B. And this result is now a C major 7th chord, built from a root, a major 3rd, a perfect 5th and a major 7th. Now this is the most uncomplicated 7th chord on the planet and beyond. Now we know that the triad can be one of 4 types, but also the 7th degree can have 3 different formats. Namely, the major 7th, the minor 7th and the diminished 7th. The name of the 7th degree depends on the distance between the root and that 7th degree. Now the major 7th interval has a tonal distance of 5 whole steps and a half step and is the distance from the root C to the major 7th B. The minor 7th interval has a tonal distance of 5 whole steps and is the distance between the root C and the minor 7th B flat. The diminished 7th interval has a tonal distance of 4.5 step and is the distance between the root and the diminished 7th B double flat. To every type of the 4 triads we can add 2 different 7th degrees. Sometimes we'll add the major 7th, sometimes the minor 7th and in one case the diminished 7th. The result is 8 types of 7 chords. Major 7, dominant 7, minor major 7, half diminished, full diminished, major 7 sharp 5 and dominant 7 sharp 5. Now besides these logical structures we will also see 2 other 7 chords that do not comply to the stacking of 3rds. But that's for later. So let's find out what's the buzz and I tell you what's happening. Now there are 2 7th chords that can be built on the major triad, the major 7th chord and the dominant 7th chord. Each chord has a different harmonic function. Now by adding a major 7th degree to the major triad, we'll get a major 7th chord. It is a stack of a major 3rd, minor 3rd and a major 3rd. And the chord contains a root, a major 3rd, a perfect 5th and a major 7th. The major 7th chord can be the tonic of a major scale, like you see here. Now the length of the lines between the note names of the chord indicate a major or a minor 3rd. And it can also be the 4th degree in a major scale, serving as the subdominant chord. In a modal environment, the major 7th chord can be the tonic of the Lydian mode, which is a major scale with an augmented 4th degree. Now here you see some of the chord shapes for the major 7th chord. Now although this is not a chord voicing lesson, I still want to show you some of the drop 2 voicings because of their importance for guitarists and chord voicing in general. Adding the minor 7th to the major triad will get a dominant 7th chord, and that is a stack of a major and 2 minor thirds. It contains the root, the major third, the perfect 5th and the minor 7th degree. Now the dominant 7th chord is a typical chord on the 5th degree of a major key and sometimes also a minor key. It wants to resolve to the tonic chord. And the reason for this is that the dominant 7th chord has a built-in unstable dissonant tritone between the major third and the minor 7th degree. In the C dominant chord, for instance, these are the notes E and B flat. And the tritone wants to resolve to the root note F and the major third A of the tonic F major in an F major key. The dominant 7th chord can also be the tonic of the modal Mixolydian scale, which is the 5th mode of a major scale. Shapes for this dominant 7th chord and the drop 2 voicing look like this. Now on the minor triad, built from a root, a minor third and a perfect 5th, we can build 2 7th chords, the minor 7th chord and the special minor major 7th chord. The minor triad can be extended with the minor 7th degree, and this creates a minor 7th chord, that is a stack of a minor third, a major third and again a minor third. It contains the root, the minor third, the perfect 5th and the minor 7th. Now the minor 7th chord is a typical tonic of the minor scale, as you can see here. It also serves as a 2 chord in a 2-5-1 progression in a major key. For instance, C minor 7 in the 2-5-1 progression in the key of B flat major. The minor 7th chord can also be the tonic of a modal Dorian and Phrygian scale that are the 2nd and 3rd mode of the major scale. Here are some shapes for the minor 7th chord and some drop 2 voicings. Also, the major 7 can be added to the minor triad by stacking a major third on top. Now this chord is called a minor major 7th chord and it has a distinct sound. It contains the root, the minor third, the perfect 5th and the major 7th. The chord is the tonic of both harmonic minor and melodic minor scale. Both scales have a minor third and a major 7th degree, just like the minor major 7th chord itself. In jazz, the chord is often used as a substitution for the minor or minor 7th tonic chord. Now here you see some shapes for the minor major 7th chord in root position and in drop 2 voicing. Now we can build 2 7th chords on the augmented triad. The major 7♯5 chord and the dominant 7♯5 chord. And both have a different harmonic function. Now the major 7♯5 chord is the result of adding a major 7th degree to the augmented triad. It is a stack of 2 major thirds and 1 minor third. This results in a root, a major third, an augmented 5th and a major 7th. The sound is a bit mysterious. And this chord is the tonic of the Lydian augmented scale, which is the 3rd mode of the melodic minor scale. But the chord can also be a daring substitution for the tonic major 7th chord in some cases to create tension at the end of a progression. Here are some shapes of the root position and drop 2 voicings. Now we can also add the minor 7th to the augmented triad to create a dominant 7♯5 chord. It contains the root, the major third, the augmented 5th and the minor 7th degree. It is the result of stacking 2 major thirds and a major 2nd. But what do we have here? A 2nd is not a third. So this means that this chord is technically not a stack of thirds. Still, the G sharp is the 5th degree, even if it's altered. And the B flat is the common minor 7th degree, despite that it's technically not a stack of thirds. We'll find such a dominant 7♯5 chord most of the time on the 5th degree of a major and minor 2-5-1, like this. Because of the sharp 5, this chord is also called an altered chord. And because of the dominant character, it's also called an altered dominant chord. Here are some shapes in root position and drop 2 voicing. Now we can build two 7th chords on the diminished triad. That is the only 7th chord, by the way, that can have a diminished 7th degree. Now when we add a minor 7 to the diminished triad, we have stacked two minor thirds and a major third. And this results in a root, a minor third, a diminished 5th and a minor 7th. And you find this chord on the major 7th degree of a major scale, or on the 2nd degree of a minor scale. Look at the C major scale. On the 7th degree we'll find the B half diminished chord. The chord sounds a bit dissonant because it contains the same unstable dissonant tritone, the notes B, F, as a G dominant 7th chord on the 5th degree. The tritone B, F wants to resolve to the notes C and E, which are the root and the third of the tonic C major chord. The same thing happens with the tritone B, F in the G dominant 7th chord. Therefore, the half diminished chord on the 7th degree can be a good substitute for the dominant chord on the 5th degree. You can also approach the B minor 7 flat 5 chord as a rootless G dominant 9 chord. Either way, it has the same harmonic effect. If you want to know more about the half diminished chord and what you can do with it, and that is a lot, just watch my tutorial about this amazing chord and the arpeggios that you can use for improvisation. Now here you see some shapes of this chord in root position and drop 2 voicing. Now when we stack 3 minor thirds, the chord becomes a diminished 7th chord. It contains the root, the minor third, the diminished 5th and the diminished 7th degree. It is the only 7th chord with such a diminished 7th degree. Now notice that the diminished 7 B double flat is enharmonic equal to the major 6th A. This chord has some remarkable properties, and one of them is that the chord is a so-called symmetrical chord. The distances between the notes are all the same, and therefore every note in the chord can serve as a tonic. You'll end up with the same notes every time. C diminished 7, E flat diminished 7, G flat diminished 7 and B double flat diminished 7 are all inversions of each other. The diminished 7 chord is dissonant and unstable and wants to resolve to a major chord that is a half step higher or a minor chord that is a whole step lower. So C diminished 7 resolves either to D flat major or B flat minor. Here you see some shapes of the diminished 7th chord in root position and drop 2 voicing. Now there are two 7th chords that I didn't show you in the previous parts of this lesson. And these are two chords that have a different structure. And I'm talking about the dominant 7 flat 5 chord and the suspended 7 chord. Now both chords are commonly used and should be covered in this lesson, and so I will. Now let's start with the dominant 7 flat 5 chord. Now this chord is special because it's built on a major triad with a diminished 5th degree. So the root C, a major 3rd E and a diminished 5th G flat. And it sounds like this. Now the diminished 5th is enharmonic equal to the augmented 4th. G flat and F sharp are the same notes. It belongs to the Lydian mode, which is a major scale with an augmented 4th degree. Now when adding a minor 7 to this chord, we'll get a dominant 7 flat 5 chord. It is a stack of a major 3rd, a major 2nd and a major 3rd. This dominant 7 flat 5 chord is closely related to the dominant 7 sharp 5 chord and is used in the same way as a dominant 5th degree in a major or minor key. The chord is called an altered or altered dominant chord, just like the dominant 7 sharp 5 chord. Here it is in a 2-5 progression in F major. Here are some shapes for the dominant 7 flat 5 chord. Now the dominant 7 flat 5 chord can also be the tonic of the Lydian dominant mode, which is the 4th mode of the melodic minor scale. It sounds like this. Now, Now the sus4 chord is a suspended triad, as we have seen in part 1 of the chord theory series. The third is omitted in favor of the 4th degree. The result is a suspended 4 chord, and it contains the root, the perfect 4th and the perfect 5th. There's also a suspended 2 chord. In this triad, the third is replaced by the 2nd degree, like in the C sus2 chord, containing the root C, the major 2nd D and the perfect 5th G. Adding the minor 7th degree to the sus4 chord creates a dominant 7 sus4 chord containing the root, the perfect 4th, the perfect 5th and the minor 7th. This chord is most of the time used preceding the dominant 7th chord that results in the tonic. Here are some shapes for the dominant 7 sus4 chord. There's also a suspended version of the minor 7 flat 5 chord that sounds very nice. This 7th chord is built on the suspended diminished chord containing the root, the perfect 4th and the diminished 5th. Now when we add a minor 7th, we'll get a minor 7th flat 5 sus4 chord. Use this chord preceding the minor 7 flat 5 chord or even as a substitution for the minor 7 flat 5 chord, like in this 2-5-1 progression. Now here are the shapes for this chord. So this concludes this lesson, and I hope this lesson was crystal clear for you and that you have gained a good understanding of the 7 chords. Now I made a 3-part ebook series about chord theory, and that covers also the extended and added tone chords. So if you want, you can check that out in my ebook store. Now then I want to thank all my Patreons and subscribers, because I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you all so very much for watching my videos and your participation in your own way. For now, grits, and I see you next time in another QGemText tutorial or part 3 of this series. Bye!